Yo, what's good everyone? Thank you for tuning in to today's video. As you can see from the title, it is that time in the month again. So in today's video, we will be taking a look at my top 10 upcoming sneakers for the month of January. Now before we dive into that, this is the first official video for 2022. And on that note, I'd love to wish you guys a happy new year. I did take a couple of weeks off towards the end of December, just because, it was Christmas, I've got kids and family, so I just needed a little bit of time to reboot, and I definitely feel like that time was needed. But I'm honestly really glad to be back. It's really nice to be back in the hot seat, ready to look at some absolutely incredible releases. So just want to wish you guys a happy new year. I hope you guys had an incredible Christmas, and thank you very much for coming back and being part of the family for 2022. We have set some new milestones, which I will get into later on in the video, so do stay tuned for that. But now we've got all those formalities out of the way, sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and get straight into this video. First things first, before we dive into the video itself, just like I always do, I want to let you guys know that all this information does come courtesy from the Soul Supplier's website. Now, we'll make sure to leave a link in my description area below to the Soul Supplier, as well as an individual link to each individual release, just in case you want to check it out in any more detail. I would also say that a couple of these sneakers we've actually talked about before, because there has been a lot of pushbacks from 2021 into 2022. And on that note, I do expect that there could be potentially more pushbacks as well. So do take these dates with a pinch of salt. But as of today's date, which is the 2nd of January, they are the most, accurate and up-to-date information that I could actually find. So like I said, just take that with a pinch of salt. But like I was just saying in the actual intro itself, I have set some new milestones for the channel. Last year, the milestone was to hit 3,000 subscribers, and whilst we didn't actually hit the 3K, we still managed to double our subscriber count from the year before, which is absolutely incredible. So on that note, the subscriber milestone stays the same, and we are aiming to smash 3,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. Now, the view count absolutely exploded, and that is where I'm actually going to be, reaching a little bit. And I have set myself a new goal of being able to hit 500,000 views on the channel by the end of the year. That means that over the next 12 months, I'm aiming to hit another 250,000 views. If you guys can help me hit that, I would honestly be eternally grateful. And I think maybe we could even do even better. But I think 500,000 is the goal for the time being. And that definitely is something that I'm hopeful that we will be able to do on this channel. But no matter which way it goes, whether we hit those milestones or not, I absolutely love doing this channel. I love talking to you guys about shoes. So regardless, I will still be here each and every week ready to drop a brand new video for you guys. And on that note, no more blabbering about what we're gonna be doing. Let's just go ahead and get stuck into this list. So with all that said, jumping straight into this list, our first release for the month is the Air Jordan 1 Low Bread Toe. Now this is scheduled to be releasing on the 4th of January for a retail price of £110. Now by the time you see in this video, the shoe will have already released, unfortunately. I was actually planning to film this video on New Year's Day. Unfortunately, I did have one too many drinks on New Year's Eve, and it just wasn't happening. I'm going to be honest, I was far too hungover, you might say, to actually do that video. Now, the shoe itself, fire. How can you go wrong with this colour blocking? The red, the black, the white, absolutely beautiful. I'm not massive on Jordan 1 Lows in general, to be completely honest, but this is definitely a shoe that I will be going for, and hopefully by the time you see in this video, I will have actually been able to cop. I do expect that this shoe is actually going to sell out. I can see that absolutely. It's a really beautiful, really clean looking shoe, and I do expect that the resale value, whilst not being major, you may be able to make 10, 20, 30 pounds depending on the size. So I do expect resellers will be after it, and I do expect that it will be selling out. So do make sure to check out the raffles guide. Also, do make sure you are tuning into the Nike app. It's not going to be on sneakers because it is a Jordan 1 Low. We don't really tend to see those too often on the sneakers website. A lot of the releases just tend to happen, sporadically on these different foot sites and on Nike. So it is on the Nike app. It's not on sneakers. And if you are after it, good luck to everyone that's going for them. So moving on swiftly to the next shoe on our list. Next up, we have the Lebron 9 Watch the Thrawn. Now this is scheduled to be releasing on the 6th of January for a retail price of £180. And this shoe actually has had some initial rollout and some initial releases at several different places. Now, I have seen that this shoe did go live on the SNS website. It also did go live on 7 Store. But as soon as I actually went over to those releases, it did only seem like they only had the smaller sizes, so sizes 6 through 8. And it didn't seem to have any of even my size of size 9 and even bigger. So I think what they had was just the preliminary smaller sizes. And I do believe that on certain websites you can actually still get them. If I'm not mistaken, this shoe may have already released on Foot Locker as well, once again in those smaller sizes. So I'm definitely really excited for this shoe. You know, for a little bit of backstory on anybody that doesn't really know too much about this shoe. According to my research, this shoe initially did release just for Jay-Z and Kanye West and even LeBron James himself as a player exclusive. They are extending that release to the rest of us now, and it is genuinely a really beautiful shoe. It's very gaudy, it's very out there, and that's definitely something that I absolutely love about a lot of LeBron sneakers. I really don't expect that it's going to sell out in every size here in the UK. LeBrons in general are pretty easy to cop here. Only the South Beaches in recent memory have completely sold out in every size for obvious reasons. But things like the Hardwood Classics, the LA colorway in the LeBron 8, certain LeBron 7s even, they tend to sit. So if you really want it, there are raffles already available at places like End, and I do think there are some on SNS as well. So do keep your eyes peeled and check out all the different foot sites for all the different raffles. But for me, this isn't something that I would actually put too many raffles in, because if you really want it, I do expect you will be able to get it. So next up, we actually have a release specifically for the ladies. Next up, we have the Nike Dunk Low Harvest Moon, scheduled to also be releasing on the 6th of January for a retail price of £90. Now this shoe for me, as soon as I saw it, immediately the first thought in my mind was this is very similar to the Curry colorway that released last year. I think the Currys were pretty much an entire suede build, whereas on this women's release, it is looking like just an entirely leather build. And unfortunately, based on the pictures, it doesn't necessarily look like the best quality of leather either. That could just be the pictures, and they may not even be the official pictures of the actual release. A lot of these images I do pull specifically from the Sneaker News website, so shout outs to them. But for me, the pictures definitely don't really fill me with that much excitement about the actual quality. The colorway, on the other hand, if you did miss out on the Currys and you are part of the smaller foot minority like myself in at size 9, hopefully you will actually be able to get these if you really do want them. But with that said, with this being a women's release, hopefully all the ladies that are tuning in, if there are any, mainly a male majority viewership on this channel, but any ladies that are watching now, shout outs to you. Hopefully you will be able to get these if you really do want them. But it is a really great looking shoe, really excited to see if this is something I can actually pick up for my missus. Not necessarily something I'm looking for myself personally, but still a really nice looking shoe all the same. So this, as far as I can tell, I haven't seen any raffles just yet. Maybe I'm just missing them. And I haven't even seen this on Sneakers. So this may also be another one that's going to drop on the Nike website over Sneakers. So make sure you are locked into the raffles guide on the Source Supplier. Keep checking on the Nike website. Keep checking on Sneakers. So moving on to the next shoe up on our list, and actually moving away from both Nike and Jordan. The next release is by New Balance, and it is the Made in the USA 990 V3 in the black and green colorway. Now this is scheduled to be releasing on the 7th of January, which happens to be my birthday, and is releasing for a retail price of £200. I do still think they are a little bit on the pricey side, and I'm not going to ever sit here and say that £200 for one shoe is affordable, because it isn't. But, you know, when I've got a collection as big as I have, I'm kind of concentrating more on comfort, everyday wear, rather than just specifically trying to grab every single shoe that I possibly can do. So this is a really clean, really simple looking shoe. Not something that's aesthetically going to please everyone. But for me, I love the 990 V3s. I think it's an incredible looking shoe. The colorway, nice, it's clean, it's easy to rock. And it's definitely a shoe that I personally am going to be going for. Whether or not I am able to cop is completely dependent on A, raffles, and B, New Balance themselves and how many people are actually going for it. So I'm honestly not holding my breath, but this is definitely a shoe I would absolutely love to grab, especially because it's my birthday. So New Balance, if you ever do see this,
shut up and take my money.
So moving on to the next shoe up on our list, we have another entry by Jordan. Typical, I know. Next up, we have the Air Jordan 13 Court Purples. Now, according to a lot of sources, these are scheduled to be releasing on the 8th of January for a retail price of £170. A lot of the sources that I've found for this release are either the source player, specifically for the UK, but then outside of that, it's pretty much all American publications and different sites. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just going to be America that's seeing this release on the 8th of January and not ourselves here in Europe. I haven't seen anything on Sneakers, I haven't seen any raffles listed just yet, and given the shipping delays and the shipping issues we've experienced, especially over Christmas, I really wouldn't be surprised if this one does get pushed. So this is one of those cases where definitely do take it with a pinch of salt. I've already seen about 4 or 5 different reviews for this shoe, and whilst it hasn't necessarily amazed me, it's not a shoe that I just have to grab. The Jordan 13 is one of my top 5 favourite Air Jordan silhouettes, so anytime they do release, it always piques my interest, and I kind of have like a case of, do I really need it? Do I really want it? Do I have to have it? And I kind of weigh up the pros and the cons of each individual release. So with this one, because I don't actually have anything that's even remotely similar in terms of colour, and I do really like the makeup of that black and purple combination, this is definitely a shoe I would love to have in the personal collection. I don't actually have too many purple shoes in the collection either, so definitely fills a void for me. So this is definitely a shoe I'm interested in. It's not a shoe I have to have, so I'm going to kind of be modest with it. I'm going to chuck my usual raffle entries in where and when possible, and if it's on Sneakers, I'll enter the Sneakers draw. But if I don't get it, I'm honestly not going to be losing any sleep over it, but it is a really nice looking shoe. So moving on to the next shoe up on our list, this is actually a shoe that we actually covered back in November. Now the next release is the Nike SB Dunk Low Chlorophyll, I think that's how you say it, and this is scheduled to be releasing on the 10th of January for a retail price of £95. Now when I covered this previously, I fully did not expect that it'd be pushed back 2 months. With that said, repeating myself again, I really, looking back in hindsight, it is what it is. This shoe, I said everything I really wanted to say about this release in that November video, so I'm pretty much just rehashing my thoughts on it. So in short, I kind of feel like it is a really nice colorway. It's a little bit plain, it's a little bit simple, and if that's something you're looking for, absolutely this could be a really good release for you. It is very similar to the Jordan 3 colorway that they did a couple of years ago, and personally, from my personal preference, I do think it does look better on the Jordan 3s than it does look on this, this SB Dunk. But I don't think that will take anything away from a lot of you guys that are actually really interested in it. I know a lot of people that watch my channel specifically are really interested in dunks, and I am going to make an active effort to try and get as many as possible for a review. I personally don't really want any dunks in my personal collection. I don't really like how they feel. I don't really like how they look on me specifically. But there is always going to be a market for it. And on that note, I do expect this shoe is fully going to sell out. I think people were expecting it in November and maybe are expecting it even more and more, anticipating it now because it's been pushed back for 2 months already. So I do expect that this shoe will fully sell out, and in that, I do think there will also be some resale value, so resellers again should be after this shoe as well. So if you really want it, get your raffle entries in early. Nothing's been posted here on our foot site as yet, but once again, just check out the raffles guide because all the information will be posted on there. So moving on to the next shoe up on our list, unfortunately, once again, this is actually another shoe that we thought would be releasing in 2021, but was actually pushed back again. So the next shoe up on our list is the Air Jordan 4 Red Thunder, and this is scheduled to finally be releasing on the 15th of January for a retail price of £170. Now this shoe is going to be releasing in full family sizing, and honestly the only place I've seen it even rumoured at the moment in time is on the Source Player website, as well as on the Foot Locker upcoming list of drops, and they are showing that a full list of full family sizing will be releasing in the UK. Doesn't happen for every Jordan release, or it doesn't happen every time for us, unfortunately. There are plenty of releases that I can think about where like a Jordan 12, a Jordan 13, even some Jordan 14s releasing full family sizing in the US, but here in Europe, we just don't get it. I don't get why that is, unfortunately. It just is one of those things. But fortunately enough, it does look like this time we are going to be getting a full family release for this shoe. And for me personally, whilst I'm not a massive fan of Jordan 4s in general, and even more so after I saw the Word Testers review on it, I'm not sure how I personally feel about this specific release. I think the OG Thunder is a lot better than these, just in terms of the black and the yellow. But I think black and red, you can't go wrong with a red colorway. I wouldn't expect too much in terms of like the overall quality of the shoe. Based on, Nightwing's review, it doesn't look like it's, done too well. But if you're just looking for a really great looking shoe, I think this is going to tick a lot of people's boxes. My missus has been after this shoe for as long as I can remember, and she is super excited for it. But this is definitely a Jordan 4 that is 1,000% going to sell out. Let's, not kid ourselves. The Jordan 4 everywhere is one of the most popular silhouettes. And because it was pushed back, I think even more people are, have had a chance to see it and have, maybe a little bit more excitement for it. I'm not sure if that is the case, but I do expect that this shoe is definitely going to be doing big numbers. I think a lot of people are really excited for it. And I think, once again, I do think resale value is actually going to be there for this release. So moving on to the next shoe up on our list, I think pretty much throughout the rest of this list, bar one, they're all pushbacks. This is actually a shoe that I believe we covered either last month or in November. So next up, we have the Air Jordan 1 in the Atmosphere Pink colorway, rumored to be releasing between the 16th of January to the 19th of January for a retail price of £145. Now, this shoe, as far as what I could see previously, was going to be releasing in December, but part of an entire list of pushbacks by Jordan Brand was pushed back to the new year. I am kind of trying to be tentative with the date as well, because I've seen certain places saying it's the 16th, and then I've seen other places like Foot Locker saying that it's going to be the 19th. That might just be a case that Foot Locker are getting their stock later than the rest of them. So I would definitely take that with a pinch of salt. If this is a shoe that you really want and you're really excited for, then this is definitely something that I would highly suggest you keep, your eye on, and just make sure you're up to date with all the different foot sites. It can be a little bit overwhelming because of how many foot sites there are at this point. But when it comes to specific releases that you really want, you kind of have to do the legwork. And if you don't, you really then can't complain if you don't manage to hit. When it comes to specific releases like Jordans and Yeezys and even New Balance at this point, you really have to work hard to get the shoes you want. And I think with it being a Jordan 1, I think most people are going to be after it. It does feel like it's more of a women's release. I'm not sure if it is specifically for women, maybe just extended sizes. But I think men can easily rock this colorway. It's dead clean, it's dead simple. And I just think a lot of people are going to be really excited for this drop. I don't think a lot of people realise that it's actually pattern leather as well though, so hopefully the pictures I'm showing now actually show that it is pattern leather both on the toe box as well as around the ankle and heel tab. So if you're not really liking the pattern leather vibe, I should say, then this might be one to pass up on. But if that's something you're fine with and you're happy to cop, this is a really clean, really simple colorway. If you want it, as I've been saying throughout the rest of this video, do your footwork, because this one is definitely going to sell out. So again, we have another pushback. Moving on to the next shoe up on our list, it is the Yeezy 350 in the blue tint colorway, rumored to be releasing on the 22nd of January for a retail price of £180. This is again another shoe that we covered last month, and I think maybe it was just too preemptive by these foot sites that were actually rumouring this release, because with that Beluga drop and then the MX drop that come very quickly afterwards, it really didn't make sense for the blue tint to drop as well. This is a very clean, very beautiful colorway, and is definitely one of my favorite 350 colorways. It's great to see it coming back. It's really simple, it's really clean, and I guess the 350 hype is kind of back. I've seen a lot more people talking about it, but I think because of like people, how trends move and how fashion moves in general and how quickly things move on, I don't necessarily think that this is going to have an absolute incredible resale value. If you look at the Belugas, for example, that came in at a higher premium price point of $220, and I think in more sizes you're going to get away with getting it for resale for about $250 to $300. And I think that's still a considerable markup if you've had a lot of pairs of the Belugas. But back in the day, the Belugas were going for close to like £1,000 in certain sizes. And I think the blue tints is still up there now in terms of resale value, but I don't think that this will be touching those numbers by any means. So whilst this isn't a shoe that's necessarily going to do incredibly well in terms of resale value, I definitely still see that there is value there in terms of money to be made. This shoe will definitely sell out as far as I'm concerned. All 350s sell out every single time. They never sit, let's be honest. So this is again a shoe that will be releasing on the official app, which is the Adidas Confirmed app, and it will also be releasing via raffle as well. So this is again another one where you have to put your footwork in for, because once again this shoe is definitely going to sell out. So last but by no means least, we've reached the final one for today's list, and once again is actually another Jordan 1. This time it is the Air Jordan 1 in the dark Marina blue colorway, scheduled to be releasing again on the 22nd of January for a retail price of £145. Now, a lot of the official images I've seen for this release just appear to be Photoshop reconstructions of the pollens that you can see behind me. So I'm not entirely sure if they are going to be exactly as you can see it on the screen now. They look very similar in terms of the overall color blocking, and it's so easy nowadays to actually change the images up a little bit on things like Photoshop. So do take the images with a pinch of salt, and also do take the release date with a pinch of salt as well. I'm not entirely sure if they're actually going to be releasing 3 or 4 Jordan 1s in the same month. It's not completely out of the realms of possibility, but I'm not sure if Jordan Brand are actually going to completely saturate the market like that. Really just depends on Jordan Brand themselves, and like I said, pushbacks have really altered when things are dropping. But considering we're going to be getting restocks for the pattern breads, we've got the Jordan 1 Lows, we've got the Atmosphere Pink, and then these, it just seems like it's a lot of Jordan 1s for 1 month. And I think with that said, people are going to have to pick and choose the battles and which ones are actually wanted for personal collections. But with that said, it's a Jordan 1. Again, like we've said throughout this entire list, it's going to sell out. They always sell out. I think the pollens realistically are the only ones in recent times I can think of that were A, accessible, and B, 0 resale value. Even some of the deadest colorways have decent resale value attached to them. So I think it is kind of a case of how much do you really want it will determine how much effort you put in to get them. This isn't a shoe that I'm even going to go near. I've got the pollens. I'm happy with them. That's a colorway and a shoe that I really do like. This one for me, whilst it's clean, it's simple, it's just not something that I need personally. But that doesn't change the outcome. Again, like every shoe on this list, I can definitely see it sell out. I don't think resale value will be incredibly high, but there still will be money to be made, like maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, depending on the sizes. And people do tend to buy a lot of shoes these days, even if there is limited resale value, because if you buy enough pairs, you're still going to make a decent amount of profit. So this is definitely a shoe again that will sell out. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. I apologize that it is coming out a little bit later than anticipated, but like I said at the start of the video, my hangover completely stopped me from filming it yesterday. And these videos, whilst I absolutely love to do them, they're some of my favorite videos to do on the channel, they take a little bit longer in terms of like editing, you might say, to actually get these videos compiled and done and then released. So I'm really hopeful that you guys are, happy with this list. If there's anything you would have changed out or any other releases that you would add in, do feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to wish everybody a happy new year once again. I hope you guys are able to cop every single shoe that you're after this year. All about positivity, positive vibes over here. And I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and especially sticking around to this point in the video. If you haven't already, please feel free to smash that subscribe button. Also, do make sure the bell notification is switched on so you never miss a video. And I hope to see you all again in the next one.